Hi, everyone. I'm Ted Everingham, a proud alumnus of Albion College, and I have the privilege of sitting on the board of the Alumni Association. Think of it as your alumni association. And one of the fun things I'm getting to do with this virtual 2020 homecoming celebration is participate in some conversations with some very interesting people, all of them Albion people, some alumni, some otherwise associated with the college, and in this case, a student, a senior. His name is Latrell Crenshaw. Welcome to our conversation, Latrell.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you for having me.
You are a senior. Where did you come from, and what is your major at Albion?
I hail from San Diego, California, so I am one of our more distant travelers in attendance at Albion. I'm currently a political science major, and I am a double minor in history and economics, and I am also a proud member of the Ford Institute at Albion College.
Well, that'll keep you busy. I like the
It
fact that
certainly
it's
has.
history, political science, and economics sound like somebody I knew a long, long time ago at Albion. And I think we've discussed that before. When you came to Albion, first of all, how is it you chose Albion of all the places you might have gone to school?
Uh, well, it was sort of a serendipitous occurrence. It was really by accident that I discovered Albion because of the relationship that I had with a high school counselor of mine who had retired towards the end of my time in high school. And I was a member of a college club that a computer science teacher of mine offered. And so once a week, we had a morning that we would talk about different colleges and how to really apply for the process in order to make sure you had everything together to apply to different schools. It was really sort of to help guide you along. And so every now and then someone would talk about a different school that they represented. And so Mrs. Regis was talking about Albion. She didn't attend Albion, but her brother did. And she always wished she had attended Albion. So her sort of way of being a part of the Albion Brit family was to recruit in the 2 years immediately after she retired. And so I was sort of her first guinea pig in the expansion of the California program in Southern California. There were a few before me, but my year was also one of the years we were trying to expand the geographical reach of Albion, trying to diversify the pool of where students came from. So that's how I found Albion. And so she told me to apply. I'd never really heard of liberal arts schools. I'd never heard of Albion, the school or the soccer club. Usually people hear of the soccer club. But my teacher who ran the college club said, this would be a good fit for you. And so I decided to apply, and it was between that and San Diego State, and I had a much better time dealing with Albion than I did San Diego State. One of the things being that they didn't email me at 9 p.m. at night asking for an essay when I was already in bed because I had school the next morning. So that, among other things, helped sort of solidify the decision to go to Albion. Albion did a lot for me. That was my first time on a plane, first time in the Midwest, first time really going anywhere east of Las Vegas. So there were a lot of experiences that Albion offered me in high school that helped contribute to making the decision a whole lot easier by the time, it rolled around for me to say, this is where I'm going.
So you actually had a chance to visit campus before you were accepted.
I did, and I honestly thought that Albion's program was rather unique and innovative in its approach because I didn't really talk to too many other students, and I knew coming from a school, my high school in California is at least has 900 students more than Albion. It's about 2,500 people that went to my high school, and among the senior class, I didn't hear of anyone that was being flown out by different schools to tour the campus and really see what was going on. I mean, unless they, came up with some type of nuclear fission. Other than that, it was pretty uncommon for regular students to travel to different schools and be able to see and experience the campus. So that was really something that helped drive my decision, was just the level of interaction that I got from my admissions counselor and the school in general. It was a very welcoming environment.
What do you remember most about your visit? The people, the buildings, the color of the grass? What was it that
Oh,
really stuck with you?
oh, wow, that's a great question. Oh, the memories, there are a few memories that stick out. The one thing that really stuck out was one night I sat in on a class with one of my favorite professors, Dr. Carlson, the econ department, and it was just strange to me how, a college classroom felt like high school, and also the fact that he seemed to have a really warm relationship with his students. I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's this practice in American high schools of striking the fear of God into high school students by telling them that their college professors will disregard them the minute that they step foot on campus, because if you happen to miss an assignment for something or you can't attend the class, good luck for getting them to even know your name. And he knew everyone's name, and everyone knew each other. And so that type of relationship struck me as really interesting, in the way I was treated by even the students in the class, because I mean, these were college sophomores and juniors at this point. So I mean, they were separated to a large degree from even me being a high school student. So that was one thing that really stuck out to me. The other thing was really the campus environment, in terms of just how small and close knit that it was. That was also something that was really interesting to me, because that wasn't the conception I had of a college experience. I mean, and I looked at Albion, but I didn't really think too much about the town setting at the time. I was really concentrated on the school environment and staying in Wesley, where all the freshman class basically lives. That was another really interesting experience, just seeing, a college environment where everyone knew each other. That to me was just really interesting and unique.
Is welcoming an accurate word?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I, I,
And I don't know if it's
I'm sorry to interrupt, but listening to you speak about your experience as an incoming freshman 3 years or so ago now reminds me of my memory of coming in several decades ago as an incoming freshman. Um, you speak of Professor Carlson kind of learning with you. It's almost as though he's another student. And I remember my favorite professor said, "I profess nothing. I'm here to learn with the rest of you." And it's still there. Tell me this: did you ever, when you arrived at campus, you've now been accepted and you're there to start your freshman year, did you arrive with even vague preconceived notions about what kind of career you had in mind?
Uh, yes and no. I sort of experienced an evolution in during my time in high school as to what I wanted to do. I originally thought that I might have wanted to end up in law at the beginning of my high school career, and then slowly I sort of transitioned to. There was a time where I thought I might go into academia. Really liked history. And then really towards my junior and senior year, I got really interested in business. And so that was really the bulk of the latter part of my high school experience. And it was interesting because I didn't realize it at the time, but that interest and that time that I really spent delving into different business ideas and concepts actually helped me get an internship when I was a junior at Albion. So I thought that was really interesting, but I also got interested in political science and politics as a senior taking AP Gov. I got really interested in sort of the wonkier aspects of how the federal bureaucracy works, and the different ways and rules work between the different branches of government. So I sort of was on back and forth between business and politics, going into Albion, and that was actually why I spent the majority of the first 2 years in the econ department, whereas the second half I've spent more time in history, political science, and ventured out into a few other departments. So I did what usually would be the opposite of what most students would do. Is usually they sort of try to dip their toe in the water and see what sticks, but I sort of went full throttle into econ and then political science and then sort of branched out. But in a way, I liked that approach because even though I was taking classes in one department, a lot of the classes drew on a lot of different disciplines and aspects, which allowed me to get an experience to where I felt that I was still being served by a liberal arts education. So I think that was also a really unique element about Albion, because even though I was so focused on a particular subject, I didn't feel pigeonholed and I didn't feel at a disadvantage, because I would take econ classes that dealt with race or social issues, or I would take political science classes that dealt with different aspects of, how religion and culture influence society, or ethics classes in business that related to different moral quandaries related to different business practices and how to build a more just economic world. So I didn't feel like I was missing out on any particular opportunity. In a way, the focus served me in terms of career opportunities when it came to my internship, but I was also served in my education as well.
Well, you've opened lots of doors, and you've learned what you started this conversation by saying, when I first heard of Albion, I didn't really know what liberal arts meant. You now know,
Yes,
right?
I
And
do.
that's the beauty of a liberal arts education, in my view. You're in your senior year now. You'll be an alum in another half year.
I know.
What's your view of the importance of the connection between the Albion's huge alumni family and the student coming into the world?
So, I think that that's a really good question, because, I think that even my answer has changed now from even what it would have been even a year ago, given, the nature of the COVID crisis. Originally, I would argue that the strength of Albion is based on those connections, because where small schools really can distinguish themselves and advantage themselves is the linkage between their professional alumni and their students who are just coming up, because they share the connection of the liberal arts education and liberal arts experience. It makes for a powerful bond between students, because the principles transcend over time, no matter when you were at Albion. And so I think that there are strong connections that exist no matter what. And now more than ever, it's going to be increasingly more important that students feel that they have people and resources that they can reach out to, given that there's so much uncertainty around the economy and what, a post-COVID working world will look like, or even what a current COVID working world looks like. And so I think students will really need alumni to draw upon wisdom for, what is the best way to proceed forward. And I think if you don't go to an institution where you have that advantage, you really don't have the same resources to where you can really sort of help chart your course. I mean, you could end up being lost. And I think the more and more that I talk to students who are friends of mine at larger institutions, that it becomes clearer to me the true advantage of the Albion Alumni Network. I have several alumni, obviously, yourself included, that I talk to on a regular basis, and I know I can reach out to if I have questions, whether it be about a particular career or whether it just be about something in life in general. And so that, I think, is a tremendous advantage that Albion College students have. And so I think it's extremely important that those bonds exist, because I know from personal experience they've served me very well. And I know other students have felt a similar way. And I think it gives graduates and students who are on campus, no matter what the year, a certain sense of security that they won't really have to figure it all out on their own. And even when parents give advice, it's always good to have secondary sounding boards from people who are in the field that you may want to go into, because even as parents try to give advice, they don't necessarily know what that path may look like for you, because that's not their area. And so having alumni that can speak to your experiences or your fears, or oftentimes it's really funny because a lot of alumni have had the same concerns that students do now. It hasn't changed over time. The principles of the concerns are still the same. So I think that's really useful as well. And I think that is an advantage of Albion that I didn't expect to get, but I'm glad that I got. And so I think that's a powerful tool for articulating why Albion is really a great institution for students, not only in terms of academics while they're in college, but for the decades after they graduate. There's a reason we're referred to as the Albion Mafia.
Yeah. Well, you've touched on at least two of the key words that President Johnson has been using. One about belonging. It's a place where you belong. It's a family. And he talks about Albion preparing you for the world. And you've summarized that very nicely. Latrell, thank you so much for your conversation with us today. Look forward to our next conversation, one-on-one, and I hope before too long it'll be face-to-face right there in Albion.
Exactly. My hope too, Ted. Thank you for having me. This has been a great opportunity. I look forward to our next conversation as well. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.